Extremely happy for our team and our fans. The fans were absolutely fantastic again tonight, and appreciate that. And it really was just a classic November Big Ten football game. From my vantage point, Nebraska's a talented football team. They played really hard and played well. Clearly had momentum at halftime, so we knew it was going to be tough. And just walking off the field, Albert Einstein quote kind of hit me about, not everything that can be counted counts, and then not everything that counts can be counted. And I think that sometimes explains the way things go in sports. That's what's so interesting. As much as you want to analyze it, slice it, dice it, cut it up, all that stuff. And I know statistics are important, but sometimes you just got to find a way to win. And our team did that. You're down 10-0. I think our guys really dug in and made plays when it mattered. And that's really what you have to do if you're going to be successful. Kept working, starts there, and then they believe in each other too. So big things. And then just a couple of axioms that we always talk about with our guys. Penalties, I think we had one tonight, they had 4, so it really wasn't that big a factor, but the fact that we played clean was certainly important. And turnover takeaway margin, for my whole time in coaching, that's the most important stat there is, and we came out two up on the count on that one, and that was obviously a huge thing. And the other building block for us for 20 plus years is just special teams. And there are a lot of things that happened tonight in special teams that were significant, but it's easy to cherry pick, Drew's field goal at the end. But I would also suggest, that punt that reset prior to that to put them on the 20, tied right in with that. So, you think about that, change in field possession, getting the turnover or takeaway, and then certainly Drew coming up big. And even better there, you just think about a year ago, but Drew, basically got benched at the end of the Nebraska game last year, and what a contrast to tonight. And we all had tremendous faith. So just really proud of the guys. Proud of how they finished. November 3-1. We were 4 out of our last 5. So, and to win the last 2 are really big. And we've had our things to overcome. So just proud of the effort everybody put in there. And then just, closing, really got in the locker room. First thing I said, our guys, younger guys, I just said, hope you guys are paying attention, because, things like that, hopefully they're learning. They're not out on the field actually doing it, but they're with their teammates watching it. And it all goes back to the older guys, our best guys, our experienced guys, doing a great job. And no better illustration there of the play Caleb made to put us back in the ball game. And you can't explain that play. It's just a phenomenal effort. A lot of good things to get them started. The guys outside did a good job blocking, but what an unbelievable, just a fantastic individual effort. But again, if you're going to win a game like that, somebody's got to step up and do something, and we've had those through history too. So just really happy. And then the other thing right now is we look forward. We've got a chance to rest here a little bit, and everybody needs one. It's been a long, tough season. It always is in the Big Ten. That's nothing new there. And, it'd be really nice for our guys to have some time here, get regrouped a little bit. And one thing I do know for sure, wherever we end up, it'll be warmer than it was tonight. So we'll figure that out whenever they tell us where to go. But right now, we're just going to enjoy this one and let it kind of, simmer for a while. It's a good deal. I'll throw it out for questions.
Scott Document with The Athletic. I want to actually take you through the decision to kick the first field goal, because you recovered the ball at the 4. You're probably thinking we got a chance to get 7. It didn't happen. Did you think at all about?
Absolutely. Oh yeah. And did we punt once or twice from midfield? I think twice, right? No, I'm sure we were getting booed. Obviously we're getting booed. Sometimes you can't be a fan. Like, you just got to think about what's going on, how we're playing, and think big picture. And I'll be brutally honest. I didn't have confidence that we were going to make it on the 4th and 1 or the down in there. And I do know this: if we didn't get points at that point, that could be problematic. And I'm hoping something was going to happen, later in the half. So fortunately it did. So that will be forgotten by a lot of people. But sometimes you just got to play your gut and go from there. But hell yeah, I wanted to go for it. Played badly.
Tom Kakert, Hawkeye Report. After the game, Jay Higgins talked about some disrespect, I guess, that was shown towards the Iowa players before the game, and the coach Rule before the game. Were you aware of those things? What are your thoughts there?
I heard some stuff in the locker room, but I wasn't out there, so I didn't see it, and really can't comment on it. Yeah, there is certain etiquette, pregame etiquette, most people follow, and but I didn't see it, and I don't think we have any film of it, and quite frankly, I'm not too worried about it. I'll just say this about Jay Higgins, what a football player, what a leader, and he's got tremendous integrity. So, if Jay tells me something, I'm on board with it. I'll interject one of the other guys, it's one of our best guys on our team, also told me that he tipped the ball on the one where I burned a timeout. And it turns out that wasn't true. So, you just never know how it's all going to go. But it cost us a timeout. So, but I tend to believe my players are our players. Yeah.
David.
David Eichel, HawkeyeInsider.com. Kirk, I think before the season we talked about Drew's kind of ascendance and fighting back after last year. As you mentioned, he got benched. And I think there was a point where you said you were kind of worried about if it was going to kind of click back together. I guess for him to be able to go out there, go get 5 field goals last week, make the kick tonight, just kind of an overarching redemption story. I guess how would you kind of describe the growth and bounce back that he's shown this season?
Night and day difference. And, over the years, you read a lot of stuff, and I tend to read about coaches and successful people. And I'll never forget Earl Weaver had a quote about Earl Weaver, for you young guys, okay, Baltimore Orioles, they had really good teams, all right? He was their manager, but short little fiery guy. But he had a big thing about not having a doghouse for players, and or the kids that you're raising at home. And unless they really do something egregious, you just got to keep having faith in them and keep seeing them work. And that's the key to this whole thing. Drew has done nothing but mature. He's worked hard. He's earned everything that he's gotten. I tell our guys all the time, you wonder why Caitlin Clark's so good, or Steph Curry. How many hours do you think they spend shooting balls? And that's, everybody forgets about that part. If you want to be really good at what you do, you got to invest, and you got to put the time in. And I'm not an expert on how many shots Caitlin's practiced or how many, but I'd suspect it's a lot. It's significant. And he's done the hard work. Kicked with great confidence last week in windy conditions, and tonight that wasn't a chip shot, but I think all of us felt like, hey, he'll do it.
Tyler Dashman with the Des Moines Register. Max's strip sack, what all did you see on that play?
Just a great effort. Great effort. And, a lot of times, your coverage has to be good, so the guy's got to hold the ball for a while. And that's usually how those things work. So coverage is normally a component. It's hard just to run free through there or beat a guy, like that. So you got to cover well enough where he's got to hold the ball, and then just a great job getting it out. It came out a couple times I think tonight, but we only got that one. But it came at a great time, in a great position on the field certainly.
Lynn here to stay alive in Power 5. If someone would have told you before the game that you would be shut out in the first half and only muster 164 yards of total offense, would you believe you still win the game?
The odds are against you, right? The odds are against you, but that's why, you can't believe in that stuff. You just gotta, the football is still about finding a way to be successful somehow, some way, no matter what sport, but this is what we do. So stats are important, but, if it's stats versus, coming out on top, there's not even a close, one's way out in front of the other in terms of first and second. And, those stats, nobody remembers them in December anyway. It's about finding a way to be successful, and our guys have done a good job of that.
John
Steffi at the Gazette. Clarifying question from pregame. Cade McNamara, didn't see him as part of senior day ceremonies. What went into that? Looked like he was among the 23 who was supposed to be honored.
Yeah, opt-out's a big term right now, right? Opt-outs. He just declined the chance to come out, and it's strictly up to him. It was his desire, so we're going to honor that, and we'll see where it all goes here. Hopefully he's feeling better. So I said last week, he's had a rotten 3 years, so I hope everybody can be empathetic towards that.
Elliot.
Hey Kirk, Elliot Clough, Hawkeye Beacon. It seems like, every time I've asked this question from the older guys, from Max, everybody had 100% confidence that Drew was going to hit that last field goal. Do you feel the same? And I guess, do you say anything to him as he's trotting out on the field, or you just let him go?
No. Then they called the timeout, so he actually came over by our bench to take a couple practice swings. But right, wrong, or indifferent, I just kind of let those guys go. Like they're in their own zone. They don't need me saying the obvious, like you can do this or go get it. But I would go back and I can contradict myself a little bit. Everybody's confident because of the way he practices typically, but I think I've said before, like, he's not always on Wednesdays. Sometimes I'll leave the field scratching my head, and I've requested he quit fooling around like with new techniques when we're doing team stuff. Like, do that on your own. You guys are on your own all the time as kickers. But you know, he in general he practices well. But I think everybody knows the maturity. He's a much different player than he was last November, and his teammates all know that. So that's and the way he's been performing. So that's why everybody's confident in him. You know, he's earned that.
Take a couple more, Mike.
Hi, Kirk, Mike Loss, thegazette.com. Gazette. These walk-off wins with field goals have become pretty common for you guys in recent years. What separates winning a game like that and winning games like that as opposed to not?
Yeah, I'm not comparing us to anybody else. Just I want to qualify that statement, but I think winning in November, and I think, you know, tight games, and those are both things you have to do if you're going to be any good. To me, a big part is just mental toughness and being able, like tonight, nothing was going well. Basically, we were playing pretty well in defense, and then, you know, they get that drive for a touchdown, so all of a sudden it's 10 instead of 3. And, you know, quite frankly, at halftime, there wasn't a lot to be enthused about, just in general. But, you know, nobody let that get to them, and that was 30 minutes, and, you know, the point was we still got 30 more minutes. And I doubted we were going to go out there and just start, you know, running up and down the field and, you know, playing with great proficiency. It would have been great if that happened. Can't count on that, so you just got to keep finding ways to win. But it all starts with guys playing tough, and they got to play with great effort. And you got to have some belief in there too. And that's across the ball, you know, offense versus with defense and defense with offense, special teams. And, you know, we work with really quality people, so that I think it's a little bit easier. And I go back to that point I made earlier. Our best guys got to be our best guys, and they, you know, it's not getting better than Jay Higgins. It doesn't get any better. And, you know, go right down through all those seniors. And then, you know, look at a guy like Caleb, who a year ago was up and down, a little hot and cold, and he made the play of the game tonight, or one of the plays of the game. And just the maturity and the growth that we've seen in him a year later too. We talked about with Drew, but I could say the same thing about Caleb. That was just such a phenomenal play, and you can't draw that one up. It's just a guy doing something extra, and that's how you win games like this, because it was tough tonight, really tough.
Chad Lights, Dakota Des Moines Register. Real quick before I ask my questions, Brian Allen was a surprise injury. Is that serious thing or?
Yeah, so he's been, I won't say nursing, but he's been playing with something that's been problematic, and he decided this week he can't go any further. So he's got a couple of surgeries waiting for him. One will be sometime next week, I believe, and then, you know, another one in January probably. So he'll be out this spring, but it was all medical.
Out for the bowl game.
Yeah.
And then I just want to ask about Jackson Stratton, which has been the hot topic lately here, but hadn't been asked about today. Like, was Brendan available, or was he kind of emergency only?
Yeah.
And how did you feel?
Emergency is a strong word, but he was available, but not mobile, early mobile.
Yeah,
You know, he's still sore, and I don't think the medical staff thought he'd make it this far, but he had a good week, other than, you know, just how long would he last, that type of deal. So perfect scenarios, keep him out. And then, you know, the one thing I'll circle back to Jackson, clean. No turnovers, right? And, you know, he's touching that ball I think he dropped the first snap of the second half. That was not real encouraging. But you know, he just kept in there and gave us a chance to win.
Last question, Dan.
Coach Dan Stacy,
I'll come back to you.
Sportscast Media. I know you may not want to talk about this, but you're one win away from tying Woody Hayes. How do you feel about that, or have you thought much about it?
I haven't thought much about it, and I can tell you, I just wish it would happen. If it's going to happen, I wish it would happen. Only so everybody would quit talking about the damn thing, because it's I never got into it for this, and it's like, you know, there's an old movie, Being there. I'm going way back, like early 80s or in the 70s. Peter Sellers. I got to go back and look at it, because I thought it was a cool movie. Chauncey the gardener, right? Got hit by the Queen's car or whatever. Next thing you know, he's like the advisor to, and that's my life story right there. Like, I'm a line coach and end up being here. So if it does happen, it's actually be kind of amusing. Like,
Get it in the bowl game.
Yeah, it'd be amusing, but we'll see.
Last question, Scott.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Caleb Johnson. Scott Dockman with the Athletic.
I know you're.
I wanted to ask you about Caleb, because, you know, that was his 10th touchdown, 20+ yards, and you know, from where he was on opening day and where I guess you were on opening day, to today.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
We were both sitting in the penalty box, weren't we?
It looked like he could have gone either way. That a
Yeah.
lot of players just, oh, forget it, I'm done. But he chose the other route, and he's always been effusive with his praise of his teammates. And
Yep.
I guess, can you speak to his maturity over 3+ months,
Yeah.
and then also his immense talent that he's displayed this year?
I'll go back to that Earl Weaver thing about dog houses. You know, he's always been a great young guy. Just need a little bit more guidance maybe, and some firmness, and that's our jobs, and like it or not. And maybe in this day and age that's not popular, but my theory is most good players, the ones I've been around for 40-some years, most good players want to be coached. Sometimes they have a funny way of showing it, but they want to be coached. And his teammates were supportive of the plan. And the most important ingredient of everything was Caleb's a quality guy who wants to be a really good football player. And boy, he's demonstrated that week in and week out. His consistency and performance has been great. He's the same guy. You guys don't get to see him during the week. The same guy in the practice field. He's upbeat, positive. So, you know, any ups and downs that we may have gone through, boy, it's been worth it because it's just so fun to see him be confident, act like a football player, like a real football player. And that play he made tonight, I don't know if that was you, Matt, or somebody in there said it was like DeJean's play, except this one counted. We got the points on the board. And, but what a phenomenal effort. And that's the same thing with Cooper's thing last year. So to see that part of it is really, it's gratifying, and just so happy for him and his success, and appreciate